Looking to have your day brightened up? You're in the right place. Welcome to the #Positivity Podcast with Jason D.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. My name is Jason, and my guest tonight will likely need not much of an introduction if you're in the Massachusetts area, or probably even New England for that matter. Bob, you probably know him as Bob the Bike Man, Charland. Bob, thanks for coming on tonight.
Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it.
So, for the people who don't know your story, could you give us a little bit of a background, how you got started, where you come from, and some of the things that you've been doing?
I originally came from the Adirondack Mountains, upstate New York. I've been in Mass since I was about 15 years old.
So you started, you came to Mass. You've been working at the shop here for a while. I should mention that we're recording in the office of the auto shop, so
yeah,
don't mind some of the background noise.
This is Lindale Garage in Springfield, and I've been a mechanic here for about 17 years now.
All right. So what got you involved with working with kids, giving back, the kind of stuff that you've been doing lately?
My daughter's almost 23 now, but when she was 9 years old, I was given full custody of her. And at that point, I got really involved with youth organizations. I became one of the first male Girl Scout troop leaders in the U.S. And then from there, I started coaching for Holy Cross, their girls softball team. I did that for about 10 years. I did both those programs until my daughter grew out of them, when she wasn't really interested in that stuff anymore.
All right. So how did she feel about having Dad around all the time, the Girl Scout stuff?
In the beginning, it was okay, but then later on, there was a little bit of jealousy because I became like Dad to all the other kids there too. The ones that, a lot of the kids didn't have dads or only had weekend dads.
Right.
And I knew most of the parents because I was also a bouncer at night, so I knew some of their parents from the club that I worked at, and I was a bodyguard for a local guy. So it was okay in the beginning, but later on there was a hint of jealousy.
Yeah.
And having Dad involved in every aspect of her life became difficult.
Yeah, couldn't really escape it. There's going to be an age, obviously, where they want a little bit more freedom and stuff like that.
Definitely.
So you were in the military.
Yeah.
Okay, which branch were you in?
I was in the Marine Corps.
Marine Corps. How long were you in for?
Long enough to know not to do it again.
All right.
I was a translator. I was what they call a 2743. I was a linguist.
Okay, cool. That's one that you probably don't get too often, that specialty.
Not too many. I speak Vietnamese, Laotian, and Thai.
Wow.
And my daughter's from Laos.
Oh, awesome. Well, you learned something new. That's quite the range of languages that you speak, so that's pretty cool.
And then we could throw sign language in there. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we'll touch on that in just a minute. So, for the people that don't know, you were diagnosed with a condition. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I had a minor stroke back in 2011, and back then they knew that I had some brain issues. I have an arachnoid cyst in my left cerebellum, and a lot of scar tissue damage from multiple concussions over the years, probably from my line of work. But finally they told me that they were like 90% positive I have a disease called CTE, which is from multiple concussions, and it usually takes a lot of years before the symptoms really set in, and you don't get 100% diagnosis actually until you post-mortem. So after I'm dead, they're going to look at me and say, hey, by the way, we can diagnose you 100% now.
Right.
So.
And CTE is what, it's kind of been in the media lately because football players, a lot of NFL players, they're finding
football players,
after
hockey
they pass
players,
away.
Right.
Boxers is probably
boxers is a primary thing, and in my line of work, getting hit in the head was second nature sometimes.
Right. So what kind of, do you have some sort of timeline that they gave you? It's just kind of up in the air. They can't give you a definitive.
There's really no treatment for it, unfortunately, and they can't really give you. They can look at my brain in comparison to other brains, and they can tell me right now your brain is that of somebody in his 90s.
Right.
And then you add all the scar tissue to it from all the concussions I've had, and it's like little dead spots where blood and oxygen doesn't flow the way it used to. So eventually it's going to get to a point where I go through rapid deterioration or rapid degeneration of my brain.
And do you, on a daily basis, do you suffer from like pain or migraines, anything like that, or is it?
I don't get too much headaches. It's more tremors. My speech goes off at times. I get moments of lightheadedness and dizziness. But I don't think about it. I just get up every day with the same positive attitude that, I'm going to make a difference today and I can do something today, and I don't let it slow me down one bit. I may have a moment while I'm working where I just completely lose track of what I'm doing, which some people do, but
happens to me.
Right, it happens to everybody. It happens a little bit more frequent to me, and as long as I keep my blood pressure and other things under control, and stay on routine meds. I'm pretty much at an even place right now. I mean, I know it's going to get worse eventually.
Right.
And I'm ready for it.
Yeah. So, to touch on that, being ready for it, recently I saw on Facebook you went and made your own funeral arrangements. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like?
So me and my sister went to Forest Air Funeral Home in East Long Meadow, and we sat down and made my arrangements. I sat with my lawyer a couple of months ago and did my will, my life insurance, my stocks and bonds and mutual funds. Yeah, I'm just getting ready because I don't want to be a burden on my family in any way. So I'm trying to take care of it all now.
Well, I guess it's something most people don't ever have to deal with, but it's probably, like you said, you don't want to be a burden to your family, and it's probably a stress relief.
I'm being proactive because I know it's going to come, but I also know there's going to be a time where I can't really think properly. I won't be able to make rash decisions, irrational decisions. So for me and my sister to be able to sit down and do this now, I think it's the best thing all around for everybody involved.
It's incredible that you've got the attitude you do, going through that everything that you've
why
been going
not?
through.
I mean,
you're not going to change it. So
I mean, the thing is, I could kick back and collect Social Security disability. I could sit at home and do nothing. But you know what? Right now, I'm involved in some things that have taken on a life of their own. My bike project.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have a positive attitude, like exactly what you do, promote positivity. I'd rather have a positive attitude and know every day, I'm going to make a difference not only in some kid's life, but some adult's life, some law enforcement officer's life, some other first responder's life like yourself, by the programs that I do.
Absolutely. And I mean, I got to tell you, so I kind of brainstormed the idea of doing a podcast. I do videos. I try to get a video out every day, and I came up with the idea that I wanted to put a podcast out. And people said, well, what are you going to do? So, in the storming phase, I'm kind of like, well, what am I going to do? What's going to be on the #Positivity Podcast? And I saw your story in the news, and I said, that is going to be the #Positivity Podcast. I want to talk to people like yourself, making a difference, getting past the adversity in life and, overcome the tough stuff, but put a positive spin on it and make a difference. And you're making a difference. I mean, you've been in the media countless times, local, national even. We spoke a little bit earlier. There's going to be a documentary out.
Right. The CW Network, which is like one of the, I believe, the parent company for 22 News, they have a movie series out called My Last Days, and they've done 3 of them. It's a company called Wayfarer Entertainment out of Southern California, and they contacted me a couple of months ago, and they said, look, we've seen your story. We've done 2 of these series already. One was about a lady with brain cancer and survived it. Another one is about somebody else who ended up dying in the movie. And they said, yours is unique because not only do you have a positive attitude about life and about the fact that you're still alive now and that you can do something, but you're making a huge impact on the world with a simple project. And then finding out that you were a Girl Scout troop leader and a coach, and you teach a deaf school. All this stuff here, it's unique to most people that are out there.
Right, and it's probably a much different story than what they're used to telling.
Right,
someone who's, got the bad news and you're kind of watching it downhill. But you're kind of back on the climb.
Well, the thing was, so I got the bad news, and I was like, what am I going to do? I went to my lawyer, I handled that aspect of it, and I went to Vermont with my medical paperwork from here, and I said, all right, I'm going to go up there because there's 5 states that allow you to do a thing called Death with Dignity. So I went up to Vermont, and I went to the doctors there, and I said, look, as long as you concur with what everything else says, give me a date that I can check out. Because at that point, I was shocked. I knew I was going to get worse at some point, but I didn't know how bad or how fast. And I just said, I'm going to do this on my own terms. And I'm not going to be a burden to anybody. And then while I was up there, a school administrator called me and asked, hey, are you donating any bikes this year? And from that moment on, it turned my whole entire life around. I said, there is a need for this thing that I can do. And something as simple as bikes. And like you said, it skyrocketed in the media. Local news did, 22's done 13 stories on it, 40 did a couple, CNN came out, Fox News New York came out, and now People Magazine, September 4th, and then People Live, a new video version that they do, and then the movie.
Yes. There's certainly been no shortage of Bob the Bike Man coverage in any of the channels.
Right.
And on top of seeing it on the news, I catch the news at work or at home, but then you go through social media, you see it on Facebook and Instagram, and everybody's putting that stuff out there, and I think that's what we need to do as a whole, society, put the positive stories out.
That's it.
Every day you see the headlines in the news, and it's not always, the most ideal stuff. It's always, violence or negativity, things like that. But stories like yours, I think, are what we kind of have to
and
put
that's
at the
one of the
forefront.
things that I had asked the first reporter from 22 News, Juliana Mazza, when she was here. I said, why is this story still running? She had done it on a Thursday, and she says, it's going to be on at 6, 10, and 11, and thank you very much for your time. And that's how it was going to be.
Yeah.
And it ran for 2 days straight. And then on Easter morning, the following Sunday, Easter Sunday was following that Thursday, and I called a buddy of mine, it's a Chicopee cop, and I said, you know what, I've got like 20-something bikes that are all ready. Why don't we go donate them to a low-income housing project near you, where you work? So he called one of his fellow officers, and we just pulled up in my pickup truck and a trailer and unloaded 20-something bikes right out in the middle of a housing project. And
unexpected? Nobody knew her?
Nobody knew anything. And within 15 minutes, these kids were all out riding around and having a blast. And then 2 more news crews showed up. And then from that moment on, they did 2 more news stories, and that ran for 3 days straight. 3 days straight it ran. And then the news reporter kept calling me and sending me messages saying it's been seen in Alaska, it's been seen in Hawaii, it's been seen in North Carolina. And within 3 or 4 days, it made all 50 states. And then CNN contacted her and said, can we take this story from you? Do you mind? So it ran on CNN. And then we started getting mail from France, Germany, Australia, all over the place, throughout the world, coming here, just thanking me for what I'm doing and wishing me the best in whatever I decide to do with my life.
So you've had coverage in all 50 states. Is your hope to get the program in all 50 states?
I want to go nationwide. Yep. And honestly, if I could, I would go global. Yep. Because it's a simple idea of bicycles. But nowadays in society, most kids are glued to their iPads, they're glued to their cell phones, they're glued to social media devices. And like we're probably about the same age, or you're probably younger, but when I was a kid, Pac-Man was the worst game out there. Mario Brothers, Nintendo. Nowadays, it's Grand Theft Auto. It's stuff where you're killing people and stealing cars and shooting cops. I mean, there's nothing positive about any video games nowadays, and this is what these kids are glued to. So if I can get these kids off that couch, off that device, people like you and I, we need our cell phones.
Oh yeah,
we need them for what we do.
Yep.
I mean, our life is in this thing.
Yep.
If we lose it, we're lost. But kids, 10-year-old kids do not need this. Yeah, maybe they need a phone to contact mom and dad in case of emergency, but they don't need Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. They don't need all that stuff. And I think something as simple as giving them a bicycle promotes getting outside, being active. But also at the same time, there's a lot of parents out there that can't afford to give their kids bikes anymore. The hardworking parents that are putting a roof over their kid's head, making sure they have clothes, food, everything else that they need.
And that stuff has to come first.
Right,
so,
that comes first. A bike is not a necessity.
Yep.
So that's where I can come in and donate a bike to a kid. And AAA stepped up and donated all the helmets. I have 2 bike shops, Valley in Hadley, and then Competitive Edge. They donate water bottles, tubes, tires. Construction company donates bike locks.
It's great
and
that
we're
the
getting
community's
this out.
coming together.
Everybody is coming together, and to me, I think it's a full circle project. I give the kid a bike. Now it takes a little bit of a burden off the parents. It gets the kid outside and active. It gets these kids closer to the first responders, because I have first responders from every department come with me to the schools and help hand out the bikes and helmets.
Right. And that's building a relationship that they might not necessarily have. They might start with a negative, a negative idea of what police or firefighters or EMTs are about, and you're kind of bridging that gap or giving them a first experience with those people. That's a positive impact.
Right. They see you get off your fire truck. They see a trooper getting out of his car, or a local policeman or a sheriff. They see them bringing in those helmets and those bikes and fitting them for it, is smiling at the kid, giving them the little plastic badges and stickers. Now that's promoting positivity, what you're all about, in a good way. So now these kids are going to look at you guys in a more positive sense, instead of thinking, oh my God, the cops are here, who's getting arrested?
Right, or who got hurt, or who got shot, or who's going to the hospital today.
Right.
What did we break? What did we burn down?
So this is something simple that I can do for these kids that it goes full circle in my mind.
Yep. And that's, I mean, that first interaction is going to be one that they remember forever.
Right.
I mean,
Forever.
You know, so that's awesome. So, to date, how many bikes?
302.
302. And that's all, is that primarily Western Mass? I know you were just out in Worcester last week.
Okay, so I've done 7 schools in Springfield, Chicopee, and Holyoke. I did a low-income project in Holyoke. A low-income project in Chicopee. And then we went out to Worcester to a sports club. There was a guy out there that instead of charging the kids to play the sports, all he does is charge them for the uniforms. And he runs the whole entire league, whether it's baseball, softball, soccer, everything. And he gets donations from the city and banks and stuff like that to pay for the sports. He umpires the fields. So he reached out to me when he heard about what I was doing and said, you know, hey, can we do something for these kids out here? You know, would you mind coming out to Worcester? So I was able to get 45 bikes together. They only took 30, but we always bring like an extra 10, 15 bikes in case something doesn't fit a kid. Yeah. And so we made it happen last Saturday. So I contacted my contact in the Mass State Police. It's Bill Eisel, lieutenant. He gave me 2 state troopers from Massachusetts, as well as Bryn Miranda, who was a Connecticut state trooper that I coached with for Holy Cross for years together. And then we had Matt Rogers, who's a Hampton County sheriff. And then we had Craig Staples, who was a Springfield police officer. His chief gave him permission, and we went all the way down to Worcester with our lights on, sirens going.
That's great.
And they blocked off the highway for us, so we traveled all the way down to Worcester, and once we got to the Worcester exit, there was probably at least 10 Worcester PD cars that met us at the exit and brought us through the town to donate all these bikes to these kids.
Oh, that's great. It's cool that, I mean, you have everybody's rallying behind you. I mean, obviously it's, you know, everybody's playing their part, but none of this would be happening if it wasn't for you taking the lead. So
it was just a simple idea. That's all it was. It was a simple idea, and everybody saw and they realized there was a need for this. There's so much negativity, like we touched on earlier. There's so much negativity in the news nowadays. This is a simple, feel-good story. I'm just a guy from nowhere. Okay, I came from the Adirondack Mountains, a little town called Alplos, 387 people. That's all. I could see one end of the town from the other.
Right.
That's where I came from. But I grew up poor, and I just knew someday I was going to try to do something. And then, you know, I started off with Girl Scouts and coaching and deaf school. And I knew now that I could make a difference with this program.
Yeah, and so you just mentioned the deaf school. On top of being the first male Girl Scout troop leader, you teach deaf students.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that.
10, 11 years ago, Willie Ross School for the Deaf, they approached us because we have a deaf employee here, and my owner's son. And, you know, they asked him if he wanted to teach this program, and he didn't have a whole lot of interest in it. And so I said to the people from the school, I said, look, I'll do it. I said, I don't know sign language, but I've worked with kids half my life now. I said, I'm willing to do it if you send me to school.
So go ahead.
No, I went to their sign language school. They gave me the books, and it actually, when I went to the school, it was interesting because there was a lot of people there, a lot of first responders. I had to take a basic course,
right,
you know, to know what they were doing.
Super helpful in our line of work. Yeah.
So they were there because they had to be. I was there just because I wanted to learn. I wanted to teach. So I went there, and it was like, you know, we're learning fruits and vegetables and colors and all this other stuff. I said, you know what, none of this is going to help what I'm doing. I need to know car stuff. So I got together with one teacher there, and so all the other people that were there for the class were in one room, and I went privately in one other room, and we just did automotive stuff. And we ended up making a book a couple of years ago that went out to a lot of the other deaf schools of just automotive signs. So I would take a picture of a tool, she would sign it, and then we put it in a book. So we created the first automotive sign book.
That's incredible. How long is the process? How long did it take you to learn sign language and get comfortable with it?
I mean, I'll always learn more. There's always going to be more that I need to know. But as far as the automotive stuff, I've got that down. It took a while, and I still learn stuff all the time.
Right.
I do.
Well, so I mean, you started with the auto stuff, and you know, obviously, you're going to pick up the rest of it as you go.
We picked up a little bit more here and there, and the students are good because I mean, some of the students, when they're having a hard time at home, they actually Skype me. Yeah. So we can Skype. And I've taken the kids to car shows, and the benefit for me is because I don't work directly for the school. I take the kids to car shows in the summertime.
Right.
You know, I'll get 2 buses or 2 vans, and we'll just pick them all up. And most of my students are all Hispanic, and they love Hondas. They like lowriders, so I take them to the fancy car shows, and they get a kick out of it. And it's good to get them out, because most of the students I have they're low income kids. They're inner city kids.
Right. And what's the age range of the kids that you have come through?
I've had, I think, 13, maybe 13 up to about 18. I've got some older ones too, because once they get in the high school area at Willie Ross, they can go out into the community and do work study.
Right.
So that's where I come in with the automotive part, because a lot of them wanted to learn about cars, and they just didn't have anything available to them.
Right. Oh, it's a program that, before talking to you, I never even thought about that. You know, I would have never guessed that there was an automotive program for kids who needed to sign. Here's the thing. Just because, so people that have disabilities, like, they're deaf, but some of them aren't 100% deaf. Some of them are just hearing impaired. So they can still hear some things, but their other senses are heightened. Right.
All right, so some of these kids, they can still hear a little bit, but they can read lips in English, they can read lips in Spanish. Okay, so they've got one up on us.
Right, and I mean, so some of them were, likely born deaf. Some of them have a disorder that caused them to go deaf.
Some of them were in accidents of sort. I mean, but it doesn't make them any different than anybody else.
Right.
And if they want to learn to be mechanics, more power to them. I'll teach as many as I can.
Yeah, and the process would probably be a lot harder if it wasn't for folks like yourself.
But I love what I do, and the kids come here. They get bussed here, and we have a great time with it. And I build good relationships with these kids. And I absolutely love being a role model to them. And I mean, 2 years in a row, I'm vocational instructor of the year, and it's crazy because I'm the only one that doesn't get paid.
And you've had, so on top of that award, I mean, you've gotten a lot of other awards recently.
Yeah, last week I got a Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Center for Human Development, which is a huge organization that's nationwide. And then the mayor and city council gave me an award 2 weeks prior at City Hall, just for all of the groups I've worked with.
Yeah, and I mean, you obviously aren't doing it for the awards, but the recognition is, it's well deserved.
I think the recognition, it shows people that one person can make a difference.
Absolutely.
Like in what you do, you get up with a positive attitude. You're doing your podcast, and you put a positive video out some days, and you're starting a lot of people's days off in a great way. And what I'm doing, I wake up, and sometimes you've noticed I'll just put a message out, a couple of paragraphs on Facebook out about doing something great, being positive, feeling better about yourself, not looking down. The awards show people that one person can make a difference. Even if it's this podcast, this can make a difference for somebody else.
Absolutely. And it, on top of that, it's a benefit because it brings awareness to the project. You get more bikes because of it. You can help more kids. It's just broadening the impact of it.
Sure.
So
my interview with Rock 102,
great.
after I did an interview with Rock 102, next thing you know, 2 weeks later, I've got $1,000 worth of bike locks because a construction company heard about it.
And I mean, it wouldn't happen if it wasn't for you, but it's cool that the awareness is spreading.
Sure, it all starts someplace, but it was just an idea. I was just the seed, and it took everything else to make it grow into what it is. I have my sister involved, who is a psychology professor. She's handling the business aspect. She's the brains, and I'm the brawn of the family of 6 of us. So,
so outside, obviously the people listening can't see, but we've got a ton of bikes out there in the shop. I know you've got a trailer full of them. You have another location now that the city has provided you.
Right.
So no shortage of bikes.
No shortage of bikes, but we could always use more because there's a good portion of bikes. I'd probably have to say at least 30 to 40% of the bikes that come in, I can't repair.
Right.
So I can strip them for parts. I mean, I have sponsors, but I don't want to hit my sponsors up for too much stuff. So if I can reuse stuff, because that's what it's all about. It's rebuilding bikes to rebuild our youth. So if I can reuse stuff, I'd rather do that and hit up my sponsors for the stuff that I really need. I've got about 600 bikes in stock now. I've got 2 tractor trailer loads here, and we've got bikes at my house hanging up on the ceiling, and then I've got a little over 300 at a building on Tapley Street, which the mayor gave me. So,
that's great. And I like you mentioned earlier that you're not going to give a kid a bike that you wouldn't ride yourself.
No.
You're not going to just put it out dirty, covered in scratches, flat tires.
These kids may be in a poverty situation, but when I give them a bike and a helmet and a lock and a water bottle, I want them to feel special about that. I don't want them to think, wow, that's a piece of crap. I want them to say, wow, that's really nice. You know,
Someone
that thing is going to
took their
shine.
time.
We even put armor all on the tires just so it shines for them at that last second when they get this thing.
That's awesome.
You know,
That's
we've
so good.
repainted bikes. I've had new chrome put on some of them. If they're a really good bike, I'll re-chrome it.
So, first bike you ever made over for someone? What was
The
it?
first one, well, 7 years ago is when it all started, but the one that started all the media this year was a 1971 Radio Flyer tricycle. So when the school administrator contacted me and asked me for a couple of tricycles or scooters, all I had was these 1970s Radio Flyers, and they were in rough shape. And this is before the media hit anything, before I had donations. I just had these things sitting here. And I felt bad, and I just, you know, I told her, I said, look, if I get something in, I'll let you know. And once she left and I knew that there was really a need for these things, I called a couple of people up. I got some scooters, but these Radio Flyers, I sandblasted them, and I was able to get reproduction wheels for them, and I re-chromed the handlebars, and I called her 2 days later when it was done. And I had her come back, and she was just, you know, tears were starting to come out of her eyes. So I donated them, and that's what started this whole media frenzy for Bob the Bike Guy. So,
Well, it's great. So, like you said, you know, we can always use bikes. You could use helmets, locks, water bottles,
bikes,
cages.
helmets, all that stuff. See, I mean, AAA donates all of my helmets, but eventually, you know, I'm going to look for outside people that, you know, want to contribute some more, so it's less on AAA. Every bike, no matter what size it is, I put water bottles on for the kids. And water bottles, you know what, they're not that expensive. They're a couple bucks each. Cost is only 60 cents a piece if I bought them in bulk. But yeah, water bottles, and I have bike locks, but I've only got about 100 left now because I've been donating them out with the bikes.
Okay.
So pretty much anything bike related, I take it.
Thanks so much for listening to the Hashtag Positivity Podcast. Online at hashtagpositivity.org, on Facebook at Hashtag Positivity, and Instagram, the official Hashtag Positivity. If you liked the episode, please rate and review. And remember, positivity is contagious. Sprinkle that madness everywhere. We'll catch you next time.